My fiancée said, "I'm not wasting my 20s living somewhere with no nightlife." I just nodded. Fair enough. 2 months later, she saw my name trending. The startup I moved to that dead city for had just gone public. Her message started with, "Can we talk?" But the real shock came when I'm Jake, 29 years old, and up until 8 months ago, I was engaged to someone I thought was my forever person. Her name's Emily. We'd been together for 4 years, engaged for 1. We met through mutual friends in San Francisco, both of us working in tech, both of us grinding at mid-level positions, both of us dreaming about making it big someday. The issue started about a year ago when I got approached by a recruiter. Small startup, early stage, but the opportunity was insane. They were offering me a senior engineering role with serious equity, like 0.8% of the company. The catch? They were based in Austin, Texas. Not exactly a dead city, but Emily had a very specific vision of what her 20s should look like, and Austin wasn't it. I remember the night I told her about the offer. We were in our tiny one-bedroom apartment in the Mission District, eating Thai takeout on our second-hand couch. I'd been sitting on the news for 2 days, trying to figure out how to bring it up. "So I got contacted about a job opportunity," I said, keeping my tone casual. She looked up from her pad thai. "Yeah? Another recruiter trying to poach you?" "Kind of. It's a startup. Really early stage, but the role is incredible. They want me to lead the entire back-end infrastructure." "That sounds amazing." She smiled. "What's the company?" "It's called Apex Analytics. They're doing AI-driven data processing for enterprise clients. The tech is legitimately revolutionary. I've looked at their patents and their initial product demos. But here's the thing. They're based in Austin." Her smile disappeared instantly. "Austin? As in Texas?" "Yeah. Jake, we've talked about this. I'm not moving out of the Bay Area. My entire career is here. My friends are here. Everything I want to do is here." I'd expected this reaction, but it still stung. "Emily, this is a massive opportunity. The equity alone could set us up for life if this thing takes off." If being the key word. You know how many startups fail? And you want me to give up my life in San Francisco to gamble on some company in Austin? What am I supposed to do there? There's no nightlife, no culture, nothing. Austin has plenty of culture and nightlife. She rolled her eyes. "It's not the same. I'm 27 years old. I'm not ready to settle down in some suburban tech bro city. I want to actually live." We argued for 2 hours that night. I tried to explain the opportunity, the equity, the role, the fact that the founders had already raised $15 million in Series A funding and had massive institutional investors backing them. She kept coming back to the same point. She wasn't wasting her 20s living somewhere boring. The conversation came up again the next week, and the week after that. Each time it got more heated. Finally, about a month after the initial offer, we were sitting in a coffee shop near her office when she gave me an ultimatum. "Jake, I love you, but if you take this job, I'm not coming with you. I can't. I won't." I stared at my coffee. "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying you need to choose. Me or the job. That's not fair, Emily. You're asking me to give up a career-defining opportunity. And you're asking me to give up my entire life." We sat in silence for what felt like forever. Finally, I said, "What if I turn it down? What if I stay here? Then we keep building our life together. We get married next year like we planned. We figure it out. And I resent you for the rest of my life for making me give up this chance." Her face hardened. "Then I guess you have your answer." We officially ended things 2 weeks later. It wasn't dramatic. No screaming, no throwing things. We just sat down one evening and admitted it wasn't going to work. She gave me back the ring. I moved my stuff out over the following weekend. By mid-March, I was on a flight to Austin with 2 suitcases and a job offer that terrified and excited me in equal measure. The first month in Austin was brutal. I didn't know anyone. I was working 80-hour weeks trying to build out the infrastructure for Apex Analytics. I lived in a bare-bones apartment with no furniture except a mattress on the floor and a desk I'd bought from IKEA. I ate tacos from food trucks for most meals because I was too exhausted to cook. Every night I questioned whether I'd made the right choice, but the work was incredible. The team was small, only 12 people when I joined, but everyone was brilliant. The founders, David and Priya, had this vision that was so clear, so ambitious, that you couldn't help but believe in it. We were building something that could legitimately change how enterprises handle data processing. And my equity package? If things went well, it could be worth something real. I didn't talk to Emily for the first 2 months. She'd unfollowed me on social media, and I'd done the same. It was easier that way. But I thought about her constantly. I wondered if she was dating anyone new, if she regretted how things ended, if she ever thought about me. Around month 3, things started clicking at work. We landed our first major client, a Fortune 500 company that signed a $2 million annual contract. Then another, then another. By June, we were processing over 50 billion data points per day. David started talking about going public earlier than expected. The board was pushing for it. The market conditions were right. I still didn't reach out to Emily. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to tell her that I was doing okay, that Austin wasn't the wasteland she'd imagined, that I was actually happy. But I didn't. I figured she'd moved on, and maybe I needed to as well. Update 1. In August, David called an all-hands meeting. The entire company, which had grown to 40 people by then, crammed into our office space. He and Priya stood at the front, and you could tell from their faces that something big was happening. "We're going public," David announced. "The IPO is scheduled for October 15th. We've priced the shares at $24, and early projections show we could open significantly higher." The room erupted. People were hugging, crying, losing their minds. I just sat there, doing the math in my head. I owned 0.8% of the company. If we went public at the valuation the bankers were projecting, my shares would be worth roughly $8 million on paper. Even after lockup periods and taxes, I was looking at life-changing money. I called my parents that night. My mom cried. My dad kept saying, "I'm so proud of you, son." It felt surreal. 6 months ago, I'd been sleeping on a mattress on the floor, questioning everything. Now I was potentially looking at generational wealth. The weeks leading up to the IPO were insane. Press coverage, interviews, photo shoots. The company's name was everywhere. Tech blogs, financial news, even mainstream media. And because I was one of the early employees and led a critical part of the infrastructure, my name came up in several articles. Not prominently, but enough that people who knew me would see it. October 15th arrived. I woke up at 5 a.m., too nervous to sleep. The market opened at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time. I watched from my apartment as our stock ticker appeared on the NASDAQ screen. We'd priced at $24. Within the first hour of trading, we hit $41. By the end of the day, we closed at $38.50. I sat on my couch, staring at my brokerage account. On paper, I was worth just over $12 million. It wasn't liquid yet. I couldn't touch most of it for 6 months due to lockup agreements. But it was real. My phone was blowing up with messages from friends, former coworkers, people I hadn't talked to in years. Everyone wanted to congratulate me. Emily's message came through around 8 p.m. that night. "Hey Jake, I saw the news about Apex. Congratulations. That's incredible. Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a solid 10 minutes. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me wanted to respond immediately. I settled on waiting until the next morning. I replied, "Thanks. Sure, we can talk. What's up?" Her response came within minutes. "Can I call you?" We talked that night. It was awkward at first. Long pauses, stilted conversation, but eventually she got to the point. "I made a mistake," she said. "I shouldn't have given you that ultimatum." I was scared of change, and I was selfish. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I miss you, Jake. I miss us. I didn't say anything. I know the timing of this looks bad, she continued. I know you probably think I'm only reaching out because of the IPO, but I've been thinking about this for months. I just didn't know how to reach out, and when I saw the news, it felt like a sign. A sign, I repeated, my voice flat. I know how that sounds, but I mean it. I've dated a couple people since we broke up, and none of them were right. I kept comparing them to you, and I realized that I let the best thing in my life go because I was too stubborn to take a risk. Emily, it's been 8 months. I know, and I'm not asking you to take me back right now. I want to see you, to talk in person. I'm willing to fly to Austin. I just want a chance to explain. Update 2. I didn't respond to her request right away. I needed time to think. The truth was, hearing her voice again stirred up feelings I thought I'd buried. I'd loved her. I'd wanted to marry her, and some part of me, despite everything, still cared about her. But I wasn't stupid. The timing was suspicious as hell. She'd had 8 months to reach out. She could have called after 1 month, or 3, or 6. But she waited until my name was trending alongside a company valued at over $1 billion. I talked to my friend Marcus about it. He'd moved to Austin around the same time I did and worked at a different startup. We grabbed beers one night, and I laid the whole situation out for him. Man, don't do it, he said immediately. She's 100% coming back because of the money. You don't know that. Jake, come on, you're smarter than this. She dumped you because you were moving to what she called a dead city. Now that city turned you into a multimillionaire, and suddenly she's had some grand epiphany about how much she misses you? That's not a coincidence. Maybe she's being genuine. Maybe she really did realize she made a mistake. Marcus gave me a look. And maybe I'm going to win the lottery tomorrow. Listen, if you want to hear her out, that's your call. But go in with your eyes open. Don't let nostalgia cloud your judgment. I thought about it for another week. Finally, I texted Emily back. Okay, you can fly out, but I'm not making any promises. She arrived the following Saturday. I picked her up from the airport, and the second I saw her walking out of the terminal, my chest tightened. She looked exactly the same long brown hair, same smile, same way of walking. We hugged awkwardly, and I drove us to a coffee shop downtown. We talked for 3 hours. She apologized repeatedly, said she'd been immature, that she'd prioritized the wrong things, that she'd spent the last 8 months regretting her decision. She told me about the guys she'd dated. One worked in finance, another was a product manager at Google. Neither of them worked out. She said she kept thinking about me. I don't expect you to forgive me overnight, she said, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'll move to Austin. I'll quit my job. I'll start over. I just want another chance. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something felt off. Maybe it was the way she kept glancing at my watch, a new Rolex I'd bought myself after the IPO, or the way she casually asked about my apartment, my car, my plans for the money. Small things, but they added up. Emily, can I ask you something? Of course. If Apex hadn't gone public, would you have reached out? She hesitated, just for a second, but I saw it. I don't know. Maybe not this soon, but I would have eventually. That's not reassuring. Jake, I'm being honest. Yes, seeing the news made me realize what I'd lost, but that doesn't mean my feelings aren't real. We left things ambiguous that day. She flew back to San Francisco, and we agreed to keep talking. Over the next few weeks, we texted almost every day. She started sending me photos of Austin apartments she was looking at, talking about job opportunities there, making plans. Part of me wanted to believe this could work. Update 3. The turning point came about a month later. Emily had flown out to Austin again, and we'd spent the weekend together. It felt good, familiar. We went out to dinner, walked around the city, even kissed for the first time since the breakup. I was starting to think maybe Marcus had been wrong. Maybe she really had changed. On Sunday night, we were back at my apartment. She'd had a few glasses of wine and was more relaxed than I'd seen her all weekend. We were sitting on the couch, talking about the future, when she said something that made my blood run cold. You know, I've been thinking about the wedding. If we get back together, we should do it soon. Like within the next 6 months. I don't want to wait. That's pretty fast, I said carefully. I know, but we've already wasted so much time. And besides. She paused, then smiled. Once we're married, it'll be easier to combine finances, make joint decisions about investments. My financial advisor said, Wait, your financial advisor? She blinked. Yeah, I started working with one a few weeks ago. She's helping me plan for the future. And you've been discussing my finances with her? Well, not yours specifically, but I mentioned that we were potentially getting back together, and she gave me some advice about how to approach things. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Emily, we're not even officially back together, and you're already talking to a financial advisor about my money? That's not... Jake, you're twisting this. I'm just trying to be smart. If we're going to build a life together, we need to think about these things. We've been talking for a month. You've visited twice, and you're already planning how to access my assets. Her face flushed. That's not fair. I'm not some gold digger. I make good money on my own. Then why are you in such a rush to get married? Why are you talking to financial advisors about our money when there is no our yet? She stood up, angry now. Because I love you, Jake. Because I want to build a future with you. I'm sorry if that makes me sound opportunistic, but I'm trying to be practical. Practical would be taking things slow. Practical would be rebuilding trust over time. What you're doing is planning a financial merger. We fought for another hour. She cried, said I was being paranoid, that I'd changed and become cold. Eventually, she left. I drove her to her hotel in silence, and she flew back to San Francisco the next morning. I didn't hear from her for 2 days. Then I got a long text message. It was partially an apology, partially a justification, but the key line was this. I think we want different things right now. Maybe we're just in different places in our lives. I didn't respond. I was done. Final update. It's been 4 months since that last conversation. Emily texted me once around the holidays, a generic Merry Christmas message. I replied with the same and left it at that. I heard through mutual friends that she's dating someone new, a guy who works at a hedge fund in San Francisco. Good for her. As for me, I'm doing great. The lockup period on my shares ended, and I've started selling them in tranches. After taxes, I'm sitting on about $7 million liquid. I bought a house in Austin, invested a chunk of the money, and I'm taking my time figuring out what's next. I'm still at Apex, but I've transitioned to a less intense role. I'm traveling more, seeing friends, living the life I want. The weird part is that I don't feel angry at Emily anymore. I did for a while, but now I just feel relieved. Relieved that I saw who she really was before making a huge mistake. Relieved that I trusted my gut and moved to Austin. Relieved that I didn't let nostalgia or loneliness cloud my judgment. Someone asked me recently if I regret how things ended with her. Honestly, number. She showed me exactly who she was when she gave me that ultimatum, and she showed me again when she came back only after the money appeared. I'm grateful for both lessons. Edit 1. For anyone wondering, yes, I'm dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I'm in no rush. Turns out Austin has a pretty solid dating scene. Who knew? Edit 2. A few people have asked about the other early employees at Apex. Most of us are still there, though a couple have left to start their own companies. The culture's still great, and we're all doing well financially. It's wild to think about how different my life would be if I'd stayed in San Francisco. Edit 3. Emily's friend reached out to me a few weeks ago saying Emily wanted to clear the air and talk again. I politely declined. Some doors are better left closed.